Tonight on the Super Important Show, crime-fighting cows, the worst costume to wear when you're getting pulled over, and the soundtrack to hell. I'm Justin Diodato, and I am one of your co-hosts, or one of your hosts, but I'm joined by two other amazing co-hosts tonight. First up, Heather Jules Booth. How are you doing, Heather Jules Booth?
I am great. How is everyone? And by everyone, I mean the two of you. Hello. And our viewers.
Good. And tonight we have a special guest joining us, writer and comedian Tom Brennan. How are you doing?
Hello. Oh, what a joy and a pleasure to be here in that order. I'm very excited out there, internet land, to be with you again, talking until the end of this sentence, period.
Tom, tell people a little bit about who you are. What's your story?
If I must, my name's Tom Brennan. I'm a comedian, I suppose, and a writer, I guess, based out of the New York City area, coming to you live from Parkchester in the Bronx. It's worth the drive. Deep in the heart of the liberal bubble, right across the street from where AOC lives. Not that I've been following her, as the police say I can't. But no, I'm a politically involved, on occasion, comedian and all that good stuff. Hosted a show at various theaters over the course of the last decade called Electoral Dysfunction, where comedians and experts debate the news of the week, and then, they did improv off of it. We turned it into a podcast during the pandemic because I figured, I said, you know what, there's not enough of politically themed podcasts hosted by smug white guys who assume that, the mere fact that they read a book once means that they're experts. So that's where that came from. And also a little bit of a background in the world of comic books. I was the editor for Marvel Comics for a while. So I really got two markets cornered on white guy stereotypes, and I'm happy to be here.
Perfect. Yeah, and in the I used to have one of those. I used to have a political podcast with me and another white guy who read some articles sometimes.
You know what it was? It was, I think you just look out at that crowded pool and think, room for one more. There's got to be room for one more at all times.
I feel like I liked my premise. The premise for mine, the podcast was called The Opposite Effect, and we would talk about something awful somebody did and then give you a website to go donate money to it. So, you would use your outrage to raise money for other things. I don't know.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's way better than most political podcasts whose conceits are, my boss is no longer in elected office, so I need something to do until he either gets elected again or he finds a cash cow that I can cash in on.
Yeah, that's a good one too. It's a good one too. Heather, do you want to get us kicked off here with Little World You Crazy?
I would love to. I think this one is continuing with our wholesome tradition of World You Crazy's kickoff stories. And we have crime-fighting cows lead cops to a suspect near Boone, North Carolina. This story happened very recently, and it involves a traffic stop leading to a police chase in Boone, North Carolina on this past Tuesday. This is fresh, this story. It is fresh. The suspect ditched his car and hid out in a field, but got busted by a bunch of bovines. I can't take credit for that line. That's what they wrote. It says that the suspect abandoned his vehicle and fled into an underdeveloped area, and that due to his fast and reckless driving, our officers were not close enough to see exactly where the suspect ran. It says the officers began to search the area and received unexpected but welcomed assistance from local cows. The cows literally led officers to where the suspect was hiding. What did he do? It says that he eluded arrest with disorderly conduct and driving with a revoked license. Okay, so those cows were like, "You're not going to hit me today." Yeah, they're like, "How dare you?" More than a revoked license. And it does say, in addition to thanking our officers and deputies for putting themselves in harm's way, obviously we want to express our gratitude to the cows for their assistance, the police department said. That's what happened. Yeah. I have questions, none of which I was able to research and find answers to, but I have to wonder, I was wondering, how did the cows give away his location is really what I'd like to know. Did they moo very loudly? did they hold up a sign? Like, I feel like both of you remember the old Far Side cartoons, and I'm picturing like the cows holding up a sign instead of chicken. It says like suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the way I visualized it the whole time was that it was a straight up Lassie situation where like they would like look at the police and then like start running in a direction. You know what I mean? Right. They'd be like, clear, like, come with me, follow me, kind of thing. Like that's the impression that I got. Also, my bigger question is, if you're going to hide from the police, a field feels like an awful place to do that. It feels like the dead worst place to do that is a big open farm field. Go literally anywhere.
Right, and I like and I like that the article said an underdeveloped area. So at first I was like, oh, wilderness, trees. He was thinking like, he'd be hidden by branches, but there were cows, so it couldn't have been that underdeveloped. It was just like not people populated. I don't know the better way to word that, but
yeah, most cows at this point, I think part of what's held them back is they really haven't developed on their land. You don't see that many cows building condos, and that's how you attract artists to the neighborhood, and that's how you end up gentrifying a field.
Yeah.
Get it together, cows. I always say, and this story reminds me of it, ACAB, all cows are bound to catch you. So that's my assumption. When in doubt, like if you see a cow and you're committing a crime, just give up now. Give up right away. They're gonna sell you out.
Yep. No, you're not safe.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. Cows are snitches. Everybody knows that about cows, is that they're friggin' snitches. So watch out. Don't try and commit crimes.
Don't trust vegans for exactly that reason.
Oh, man.
Do you have other questions about this whole thing?
No, not really. That was my biggest question. And then my other question was like, how did they thank the cows? Did they eat them? That was more like me just having dark humor that I was like, I expected the article to end with like, we would like to express our thanks to the cows, said the police as they gnawed on a burger.
Right. We're like hoping like that the mayor does the version of like the thing the president does every year on Thanksgiving and pardons all the cows, which is always like a delightful thing. And then you realize those turkeys live for like, 2 more months? Like,
right.
Maybe die from the anxiety of having been on camera and brought around so many people. But yeah, those cows are those cows. I knew a little bit about this story before it started. Those cows are now the mayor of Boone, North Carolina. All of them, they were elected, appointed, really. So
I would assume that's successful for North Carolina.
Yeah, that's progressive. It's a big move from Boone.
North Carolina. You're the worst. Unless there are viewers from North Carolina, in which case we love you. But there aren't. Let's face it, there aren't. But if there are, cool. But there aren't. So
these cows are going to rat you out, Dustin.
Right. Yeah. And they're violent, too. Cows are violent. Cool. Anything else on this story? Or do we want to move on to story number 2?
I think we're ready.
Okay. Tom, take it away.
I'm ready to do this, and I'm going to read it directly. So if I do a little bit of my my news announcer voice, I apologize. This comes Dateline, Ottawa, Kansas. Deputies in Kansas stopped a driver on Friday who may have been having a little too much fun on Cinco de Mayo. Franklin County deputies south of the metro pulled over a suspected drunk driver in the northbound lanes of Interstate 35. Here's where it gets interesting. When they asked the driver to exit his car for a field sobriety test, deputies discovered he wore a Bud Light beer can costume over his clothes. A textbook case of profiling, if ever I've heard one. A career in law enforcement is exciting, and you get to experience something new every day. Sometimes you see things you can't believe, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office wrote on its Facebook post Saturday morning. Deputies eventually arrested the driver on suspicion of driving under the influence and transported him to Franklin County, Kansas jail in Ottawa. The suspect has since posted bond and is no longer in custody. My biggest question is, you're celebrating Cinco de Mayo with Bud Light, my friend. What is going on? First of all, look, I don't want to get too political, but Bud Light is a woke beer. So good luck in Kansas with that attitude, my friend.
Yeah.
I didn't think people drank Bud Light outside of cities anymore. I thought they were all shot by Kid Rock.
Yeah. You can't. It's Bud Light and being a socialist are synonymous now. The other I think I love most about this is a career in law enforcement is exciting, and you get to experience something new every day. Sometimes you see things you can't believe, and that photo that you had up before is the photo. Like that's from the story.
Yeah.
That's not that unbelievable.
No, yeah. I when you were reading it before I saw this, I was picturing like head to toe full. For some reason, I was picturing like
a homemade one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not something he clearly stole from the marketing team. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. This was clearly like sitting somewhere in a store, and he was like, "That'd be cool."
I love this is boy, what not a lot happening in Kansas. No. But also, I do like to imagine the phone call of, well, we think he's been drinking, primarily because he's dressed as a beer can.
Yeah.
I'll bet even that wasn't the first tell.
No, probably
he's been
not.
drinking. Well, first of all, he called me Officer Mom, but it was the beer can that really gave him away.
Beer can really tipped us off.
Anyway, it's too bad the Kansas Sheriff Office doesn't have any cows ready to rock.
Right? Those cows could have helped.
I mean, how do we know that wasn't it? How do we know that the guy wasn't driving by and the cows were just like, hey, officer over there?
It was that guy.
Yeah.
It was the beer can. Get him.
Yeah.
I think my biggest question for all of you, I'm just curious, if you were driving while under the influence, and to be clear, I don't want to speak on behalf of your show, but I think it's safe to say the official position of a super important show is don't do that.
Correct.
But, just, hey, look, if you would be like, no, we're on board with it, I'd have to exit. I feel like even drunk, I'd at least be like, you know what? Not going to dress up like a beer can. What do you think? Do you think you might push that limit and be like, you know what? Hell, if I'm going to get caught, let's make it all the way to the Kansas News.
I personally think that suggests a level of intoxication that you 100% should not be driving. Again, in agreement, you should never be driving under any sort of intoxication. That is our official stance. But I feel like there's that moment where you maybe had one or two and you have the common sense to go, I probably shouldn't drive in this costume. This feels like it might draw attention, versus you are so it's been, I don't know how many Bud Lights it would take to get to that state, so I'm going to assume it's like 20. But you've had 20 Bud Lights, and at this point, you're like, yeah, come at me. Yeah. You shouldn't be driving either.
Or any costume, really, but at least the one that gives you away. That's
at
my
least
thought.
Your biggest tell. Yeah.
And here's the thing about the
sandwich board that just reads, I've been drinking.
I've been drinking.
The only worst choice you could make.
Yeah.
And here's my zip code and social security number. I'm sorry, Justin.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that looks like a very easy costume to take on and off. Because it's just a tube. It seems like a thing where you're like, I could probably put that on when I get there. Or, take it off before. It's not one of those where it's like, there's ropes and things and, all sorts of, complex things. This is a very quick thing to do.
Now, I would say in his defense, however, I want to make sure we're all on the same page here, not criticizing him for not taking the costume off before he exited the vehicle, because no one wants to die that way. No one wants that. I don't even think people would protest that death. They'd be like, he was taking off a costume, I think. Al Sharpton and Ron DeSantis come together to agree. He might have deserved it.
Anything more on this story, or do we want to head over to story number 3?
I have thoroughly exhausted my points of view on it.
I think same, but this is a delightful story, and that I had not seen the picture yet, so what a treat.
I'm glad we could share it with you. So, which brings us to our third story today, which is about a priest who had a heart attack, and a priest who, during that heart attack, went to hell. Because not all near-death experiences are positive. Mostly we're used to, hey, I saw a light. I saw, angels singing and stuff like that. This priest, let me get his name. Let me get my notes out.
Is it Lucifer?
Yes. What is this guy's name?
Nice try, Lucifer.
A Michigan priest. This happened in 2016. A Michigan priest by the name of Gerald Johnson, who had a heart attack, kind of passed out, and during that time says he went directly to hell. He went to the very center of the earth and saw things that he considered to be indescribable, which is highlighted by the fact that he doesn't describe very many of them in the article. But what he does describe is the fact that as soon as he got down there, he was forced to walk on all fours like a dog with like a chain around his neck, and it was burning the whole time. But the reason I specifically picked this story out was because while he was there, he heard two songs that the demons were singing to him while he was down there to torture him. Those two songs were Rihanna's Umbrella and
Oh my God.
and Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy. So he's down there just being treated like a dog, hearing Umbrella and Don't Worry, Be Happy, sung by a choir of demons. And that apparently was his hell, and it taught him that he should forgive people, and that life is hard for everybody, and to not wish punishment on them, but to forgive everyone, because nobody should have to experience demons singing Umbrella and Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy. Which I agree. That does seem like a pretty torturous thing to have happen.
Yeah, even if you like those songs, I figure that's part of the torture, right? At a certain point, like they're still singing it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And they're doing a bad job. Wow.
Well, I mean, we assume we don't know. We don't know if the demons. I mean, the demons could have a very nice voice, but I imagine it's creepy. I imagine every song sounds like when there's like one creepy child singing in a movie, where they're like singing a nursery rhyme, and you're like,
I think that's a fair assumption.
That's best case scenario. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question to you guys,
to come back from this one.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about this. What's your question, Dustin?
Is what song you think you would hear in your personal hell? But ask your question first, and we'll loop back around to music. But if chat wants to chime in on what their song is.
So there's two points in this story that I was like, what? The first was when you said that the priest said that hell was the center of the earth.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember a lot anymore about like my Catholic school stuff, but I don't remember hell as a concept being like in the center of the earth. I thought it was just like a dark place.
Well,
not specifically
there's
like
a certain amount of it's below. It's the underworld. So
it's the underworld. Yeah, I guess in my brain, I always thought that was like out, just like heaven is like up somewhere. I just figured it was like outside the planet, down somewhere in the depths of something. I just never thought of it as like, well, then I went to the core of the earth.
Like you can dig there
below the Arctic at all times.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. I didn't think you could dig there. Exactly. And then I have, it's not even a question so much as when you said that this was the thing that made this priest say, oh, I guess I should forgive people. First of all, isn't that what you do as a priest? You like preach that God is forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Don't you?
That's why he went to hell, because he was a bad one.
He was a bad one, And then the fact that it was...
I think the lesson here is that the priests have it 100% right all the time, always.
Yeah, right. Oh, of course. Oh, I know. They're
sorry to a friend of mine.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I just, it was like the story was wacky enough, and then you said that part, and I was like, oh, interesting. So you didn't already believe this, and this is what it... Okay.
Yeah, that's what it took, yeah.
And his name was Gerald Jones? Is that correct?
Johnson.
Yes.
Gerald Johnson, I'm sorry.
Gerald Johnson,
still, that's a that is, to go back to Heather's guest, or guest rather, that's a great cover name for Father Lucifer.
Yeah.
That's what I would use.
Gerald Johnson.
Gerald Johnson, Google that. Aha.
Yeah, you Google that and it's like,
You found them all.
Yeah.
Sujata is pointing out in chat that the repeating of the Ella Ella in the Umbrella song is very painful. Yeah.
There you go. I'll put this up for you.
Right. Someone
Yep.
telling you to be
And
happy.
someone telling you to be happy.
Down in
Also-
hella, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Do you guys have a song that would be playing on
Yeah,
loop, sung by demons? in your home?
So I've got two. I have to think of the name of the older song, but I think we've talked about it before on this show. Oh God, this isn't going to be helpful at all. Come back to me. I gotta Google it. Come back to me.
Tom, do you have
I think
one?
it would be. I don't know if this is officially an entire song, but if you recall the cotton commercials from the '90s, the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives, that being sang
Wow.
over and over again. Because
Okay.
it's that guy with that, I forgot who it is, but it's that duo. They did another song anyway. But yeah, that playing over and over again. That's probably where they get me.
Joy going with Tom's Diner in the chat. Interesting choice.
Oh, that's
I just sang, guys.
I
Just-
like
That's
that
the
song,
name of that
but-
song?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
I
like
didn't
that song,
either.
but that would, after a while, like if it just played on repeat, yeah, that would do it.
Or Cars for Kids. Cars for Kids is a very good one.
For kids, pretty good.
Wait, I just put up Sujata.
Yeah.
Shake It Off. Agreed. Joy is saying the 1-800-CARS for kids. Yes, I have
Yeah.
problems with all of those things.
Looking
Yeah.
at these on
This
my
is
phone.
Jeff, right?
Yeah.
Jeff saying
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow from Annie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could get on your nerves.
Yeah.
So I have Googled successfully the song. I had to type in the lyrics. I think I've talked about this before. It's the Crash Test Dummies, the
Yeah.
song.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
hate
that
that
would be
song
rough.
so much. So I don't like his voice. I don't like the song.
Also
No.
from that like '90s period when you had a lot of music videos that were just about bad things happening to
Yep.
like people
Oh yeah.
in the suburbs who were normally
Yeah.
white. Like Runaway Train was. I don't think it was about
Runaway
it,
Train's such a
but
great
that
example.
music video like are just
Such a
kids
good
getting kidnapped
example.
like crazy. I don't think that song is about kidnapping either, but
I don't think it is either, but it's
all like just babies getting stolen out of
yeah. That's so also
me
very
as a
true.
kid being dumb enough to be like, why did the cameraman stop him?
Yeah. Why
right
why
there.
did you guys film this? And I also will add a second song because I recently heard this song being used as a commercial advertisement, and I immediately wanted to like smash the TV.
Mm.
And then I've also found out that the song itself is incredibly stupid. It's called Heart Like a Truck. And
Okay.
it's this country woman, and she is literally singing exactly like she is singing a song about how her heart is like a truck.
Of
Which-
course.
Already, if that's not dumb enough, and I'm
It's
sorry if people like
enlarged
this
and
song.
about to explode.
Right? Exactly. Like, what the hell? And then in the middle of the song, she
Well, the
hits
antenna.
this very shrill note and holds this freaking shrill note for like 18 bars longer than she needs to. I can't tell you musically what it is. I'd have to sit and really. I just know I heard it and I was like, wow, I instantly hate this song so much. So that's my second entry for those
Yeah.
questions. If those two songs were playing in hell, I'd be very unhappy.
Heather, I know I've told this story on the show before, but I'm going to tell it again for folks who have not
Great.
who have not seen the episode where I talk about it. My roommate in college, freshman year, a guy by the name of Jesse, who I consider to be a brother. Like, he was at my wedding party. You know, I've known him. Love the guy. Shows up to college, doesn't have a book of CDs, doesn't have a book of cassettes, doesn't have any other music. He has one item of music total. He has the cassette single to the song by Crash Test Dummies. He decided he was going to go off to college, and the only
Right.
music he needed was that one song, and he didn't have anything to play it on. He just assumed that he would find somebody who had a cassette player who would play that cassette. So there's
that's
somebody
a-
who disagrees with you.
That's a guy who's like, his goal was, I want someone I go to college with to write the next great like college comedy. And it won't be like a main character, but they'll be like a weird supporting guy they call the guy. It's gonna be based off me. Anyway, you gotta write that movie.
Yeah.
You owe it to him.
Yep. Yep, you do.
Also, I know the song that is the most hell song. It's that song "Blue" by like Eiffel, whatever the hell it is. Where like that I'm not going to sing that one because
listen up. Here's the story about
yeah.
I knew
that song and Cars for Kids is nightmare fuel.
I don't think I know that one.
Opening of
Cars for
Iron Man
Kids
3 is that song.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh my god.
You've blocked it from your memory.
I really like about the point you made there, Dustin, just about how he called it indescribable and then chose not to describe it really that much.
Really, he didn't. He just mentioned those. He mentioned like 3 things, and I was like, "Give me more."
That this is a pet peeve of mine. Like when people will be like, "It's indescribable," and then they'll describe it, or they'll be like, there are no words, and then they'll go on into a speech. Yeah. Like, look, if it's indescribable, you've saved us all some time.
Yeah, thank you for not describing it to me.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, since I think we need to move on unless we have more from that. But before we continue, this is the point in the show where I encourage everybody to like and subscribe. It helps us a ton for let other people know that you're enjoying the content, and it helps you find out when new content is happening. So please take a moment to like and subscribe, and even hit that little bell that's down there. That's even better. Do all of those things. It helps us a whole bunch. But before we continue on to our What the Fact, there are the honorable mention stories. This week we have 3 honorable mention stories where we're not going to get into them, but they were ridiculous titles that we felt like we needed to bring up. So, are you ready? Here we go.
I am.
Our first one. The first babies conceived with a sperm-injecting robot have been born.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, in my mind, I was thinking it was a robot that was like getting down with ladies. It turns out it is not a robot that is getting down with ladies. It is a robot that is tracking down eggs and injecting sperm into them, like in a little test tube kind of thing. But
I like your way much better. It makes it a much better story.
Yeah.
If you read 1980s Avengers comics or watched the show WandaVision, this is the plot right here.
So that's our first honorable mention story. That is definitely also a movie. Louisiana police find woman's body in walk-in freezer at Arby's restaurant. I basically just included this one for We Got the Meats. That's
yeah. We literally just.
I like to believe the police weren't even looking for a woman's body. They were just like, I need some more meats. I won't wait on you, Deborah. I'll just head back there. Oh, shit.
They're like, no, it's fine. I'll just get it. Oh, okay.
I was just disappointed that
I'm making fun of.
I looked in the article and We Got the Meats was like, it's like, you got it. Like, come on. I mean, I know somebody's dead. I get that somebody's dead.
Deceased.
I know, but I am also surprised that someone didn't reference it.
Yeah.
I will also tell you, Dustin, that Matthew, who is going to be on sketch with all of us, also sent me this article in all caps and was like, "The meats," and I was like, "Correct."
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, right.
And our last honorable mention for this week is missing Australian woman survives 5 days on wine and lollipops, authorities say, which feels like a great way to be missing. To just have like a bottle of wine and some lollipops, like that's not even really missing. That's just sort of hanging out, I feel.
Yeah. I feel like knowing what I know about Australia, they're like the police are like, we found our 7th woman who survived 5 days on wine and lollipops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that article, it turns out that she was like going for a day trip and was bringing a bottle of wine to her like in-laws or something like that, and had a bunch of lollipops. And then her car broke down. And then, if you guys know anything about Australia, there's a lot of nothing in Australia. So when her car broke down, she had no service. And was just like, I guess I'm just going to hang out here. And eventually they found her. And she was totally fine because of all of her wine and lollipops. So
wow.
If there's a lesson in there, it's bring wine and lollipops whenever you go.
Keep them on hand.
Yeah.
Look, doctors wouldn't give out lollipops to kids if they weren't good for them. So.
Exactly.
Good point.
Which brings us to our What the Fact section. For those of you who have not seen the segment before, where we ask trivia questions to each other, and we'll try and guess them. And if you get them, great. Odds are they're really hard, so you probably won't know the answer, but that's part of the fun. So, and I will say, going into this, none of them, the answer is all of the above.
All right, I appreciate you laying that out for us.
Yeah, everybody has a tendency to guess all of the above because a lot of times I like for there to be all of the above, but that is not the case. So, Tom, I'm going to come to you first.
All
so
right.
get ready. Which of the following were real toys sold to real children? Or was a real toy sold to a real child? Is it the Junior's Power Welding Kit? Is it the Power Might Kids Javelins? Or was it the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab? One of these is a real toy that children were sold and could play with. Which one of these do you think is true? You look perplexed.
I'm torn between A and B, so
Okay.
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go with B. Power Might Kids Javelins.
Okay.
I like the word. I like the name.
Okay. Is there a reason, or that's just the one that makes you feel good inside?
I feel like A and B seem less insane than C.
Okay.
But also, all kids' toys are insane, so really, it could be any one of these three. And so I'm landing on B. Junior's Power Welding Kit sounds a little too generic for me. Power Might sounds like it could be a real name. I guess now I'm leaning towards C. Damn, I'm not very good at trivia.
It's a hard one.
I'm gonna go with B. I'm sticking with B.
You're sticking with B. Okay.
Decisive. All right.
All right, Heather. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I'm torn between B and C.
Okay.
C sounds so insane, but at the same time, I could see it being like in the 50s or something. Someone was like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's teach kids about, power and chemistry. But I also feel like there was a period of time growing up where I felt like javelins were like around a lot. Like you were seeing it on the Olympics. It was a huge deal. I definitely remember having a computer game that had like javelin toss. And it was like much like quicksand, where I thought like that was going to be a big part of life. I thought like javelins were going to be a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with B because of that. Because as I became an adult, I realized that no one's throwing javelins.
Yeah, they did really make it seem like that was going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, you remember that, right?
Like, because it'd be like whenever, like in TV shows, like when there's high school sports, they'd throw the javelin.
They're throwing javelins.
Like, no kid did that.
Right, but they're essentially spears, like for people.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so we have two B's. Both of you guys are going with B. We got
Joy wants it to be B.
Joy wants
Sujatha says C.
Okay. The actual answer is C. Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Kit that had actual uranium in it.
God damn it! What year was this from, Dustin?
It was like a 30s or something like that kind of thing. Here is the uranium kit. If you wanted to buy one at home, it was very dangerous.
Look at it. It says cloud chamber. Oh no!
Yeah, it was a very bad idea. It was something
we really
that
hated kids back in the 40s. We don't talk enough about this.
Children should be seen and not heard, and maybe not alive.
Whenever my dad talks about his childhood, it's with this wistful tone, and I'm like, "But that was terrible."
You're like, that's awful.
This confirms it.
Yeah, why are you glowing?
You're right. Why is the kid glowing? That's a really good point. Why is the kid glowing?
So, in the
he's playing with uranium.
Wires.
That's how you get away with truth in advertising laws, even back in the 1930s. Your kid's glowing on the box. You bought it.
You bought this. You knew what you were getting into.
Take it up with President Truman.
This was the one in like the list of like ridiculous toys that I found. This was the one they were like, this one was probably illegal. And I think it probably was illegal if they paid any attention at all. But
this is crazy.
Like I guess if you wanna go and try and find the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab
somewhere. I bet you anything it's on eBay somewhere.
I feel like that's one of those stories. Like if you Google it, then suddenly you're immediately on a list at the NSA.
Yes. Also that.
Yeah. And And Joy, because I know you're excited about. There was a section where it was little kids' power tools too. I didn't do that one, but there were like you could buy a little kid's table saw that was exactly like a regular table saw, except it was tinier. It was all incredibly dangerous. Let's go move on to question number 2. And in this case, 2 of them are going to be real, and one of them is fake. So you can either guess the one that's fake or the 2 that are real, however you want to do it. But Heather, I'm going to come to you first.
Cool.
So which of these stories about celebrities is actually real? Is it the baseball player Wade Boggs drank 107 beers in one airplane flight to a baseball game? Was it that John Hamm needed to shave 3 times a day during Mad Men because he had so much like facial growth that they kept having to shave him basically like in the morning before lunch and after lunch so that he would be clean shaven? Or was it C, that Pat Morita from The Karate Kid actually did catch a fly with chopsticks during filming, and he actually did it 3 times? 2 of these are true. One of them is something that I made up. Which one is the one that you think that I made up?
Which one do I think you made up?
Yeah.
I think you made up John Hamm's face.
Okay.
Because I just feel like that character could have gotten away with being a little scruffy looking, since he was constantly like pulling all-nighters and being just shit-faced. Yeah, okay. I feel like that. I'm going with that one.
Okay.
I feel like Pat Morita catching flies 100% probably really did that. He was so funny. And you like watch him do stuff that's not like Karate Kid. Mm-hmm. Real funny, which tells me he had a really good sense of humor and was probably like, I can do this. And you know, what I know about sports figures is that they're pretty fucking reckless. So I'm going to go with yes on 107 beers.
Okay. Yeah. Tom, what are you feeling?
I think I'm gonna go with yes on 107 beers. Now I'm not. I'm definitely playing by SAT rules, and there's a voice in my head. It's like, well, I know that flight happened, but was it actually 107? Is it going to end up being 104? And then I'm an idiot. But you know what? I'm gonna trust that Wade Boggs probably drank even more than 107. I feel like going by SAT rules as well. That's where I'm getting tripped up on Pat Morita because I feel like he probably did that, but did he do it 3 times? I don't know. I'm going to go with John's face being the fake story as well. Okay.
Cool. It doesn't seem like Chad has a strong opinion on this one.
No.
So the truth of the matter is that the one that I made up was actually Pat Morita. A and B are true. Wade Boggs did drink 107 beers on one flight, which shocked me because I was like, I wouldn't have even thought you would bring 107 beers.
That was my next question.
I assume once he got past 50, he just started taking them from other passengers.
I guess it was one of those like specialty flights where they can like do whatever they want.
Well, that also, I think there's a Always Sunny episode where they try to beat that record in a flight. That's how.
Okay.
And John Hamm, they did have to shave him sometimes 3 times a day because they wanted him to be very clean shaven because that's what the look was. In the 50s. Okay. So,
man, those are long shoot days he was doing.
Yeah, it must have been.
That's a lot.
The one I made up.
We find out John Hamm also didn't get paid at all for those days. That's the big scandal that comes out of Mad Men.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Which brings us to question number 3. This is another 2 of them.
Okay.
Which one of these jobs is not a real job that a person honestly gets paid for? Tom, I'm going to come to you first. All right. All right. So the first one is brothel tester, somebody who goes to brothels and reviews them. A toy step-on tester, a person who steps on toys to see if people get injured more so than in other ways. Or C, a rooster sexer, a person who looks at a rooster and tells you what sex they are.
Right.
Which of those is the made-up job?
Well, here's the thing: is I think like where I'm thrown, but I assume probably in this wide world of ours, at least one person has done each of these things.
Conceivably, but none of them.
I agree.
None of them have come in. Only
There's not like an ongoing field or conversations about unionizing or anything like that for one of them. Got it.
right. Yeah.
Boy, I'm gonna go with define rooster sexer one more time.
Sure. It's a person who will look at a rooster and tell you what sex that rooster is.
Right. I guess I'm gonna go with A and B by as real jobs and rooster sex, or with a fake job as a fake job.
Okay.
Again, off of SAT rules.
Okay. What about you, Heather? Which one of these do you think is the made-up job?
So when you say rooster sexer, you're saying, in other words, is it that somebody looks at a baby chick and is sexing it based on that?
I'm not going to give you that information.
Okay, because that makes a huge difference. Because a rooster is a male. The roosters are man.
This is where my decision
The roosters
based
are
off
man.
SAT rules came from. Yes.
Right? And I do know that, unfortunately, sadly, there is practice for sexing baby chicks and throwing certain ones into it. Let's not get into it. It's pretty depressing. But I think that might be a real job based on some of the background stuff I know about this.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go with B as the made up one.
Okay.
Because I feel like maybe companies don't care. And they're just like, hey, don't be dumb. Don't step on a toy. Also, I think of all the recalls that happen with things. And I absolutely think A is real, because I feel like probably in Nevada, where that's all legal, they probably have to have testers. I know they're probably not called brothels, but yeah, there you go. If you're going to be legal, there's going to be rules and like regulations, and someone's going to have to test those regulations. So I think that's a real job. So I'll go with B, not being a real job.
All right. So to round it up, Tom, which one did you say was the made up? You said
I'm going with C as the made up.
Okay.
Job.
And Heather, you're going with B.
I'm going with B.
Chat seems to be split between A and C.
We've got some real split there. Yeah.
Okay.
Between A and C. Mm-hmm.
So the real answer is that A and C are real, which means the step-on one is the one that I made up. In Germany, specifically, is where they have the brothel testers, because it's more legal there. And there's a magazine a brothel magazine. So they send reviewers to every brothel, and they check the cleanliness. They check the quality of service. They sleep with all of the different folks that are there just to figure out which ones are the best. So you can go to Germany and read brothel magazine.
And if there's any group of people that could do that and do it the right way,
it's the Germans. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Nothing creepy about it. This is just there to get the job done.
Wait, but that's also so like hang on.
Yeah.
I got to deep dive into this a second, because like there's regulations that can be proven. Mm-hmm. Like, look for cleanliness, check on this, make sure that they've got these kind of things on hand. The testing of the services being offered, to me, would be an opinion.
I mean, to some degree. But I imagine
unless you are performing
customer
something
service parts
so wrong,
that I think everyone can get right.
I mean, if you like,
good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, look, I know that was terrible, but I made breakfast afterwards. All right.
There you go.
One time, 8 years ago. Why are we still arguing about this?
It's like when you have an employee that's like really sweet, but they're really bad at their job, and then you feel bad because you're like, she's so nice, though.
And the flip side being like, man, she is great at every part of this job but one, and it's a big part.
And regarding the rooster thing, you guys are right regarding the roosters are male kind of thing. But ultimately, the ability to look at a rooster and be able to tell what sex it is incredibly difficult because they don't have an outward sexual organ. So there are folks who look at the bird and go like, this is male, this is female, but they call it a rooster one because I believe they are essentially looking for roosters in this situation. So they're called rooster sexers is their title. There is nobody who is responsible for stepping on toys to make sure that they don't hurt you.
Legos wouldn't exist if that were a real job.
Yes, exactly.
You got me there.
So those are our what the facts for today. I hope, if you're interested in testing brothels, or
To Germany.
yeah, head over to Germany, or maybe subscribe to the magazine at least and find out what's going on.
What's it called? Is it called Brothel Fancy?
Something along those lines, yeah. I mean, but in
hope
German,
so.
like whatever the German equivalent of that is.
Right. Right.
There's got to be somebody in our chat that subscribes. So
Der Fancy
Yeah.
Brat, I believe is what it's called.
I believe that's a correct. Yeah.
so that is our what the facts. Another weird collection of things that we didn't know beforehand, and now we know, unfortunately, and have to live with for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our would you rather's. Heather, you want to kick us off?
Yes, I would love to. Would you rather? Dustin is providing me with a very cheerful would you rather on this Monday, the 15th of May.
At least I didn't end with it. Normally I end with a depressing
That's true. That's true. I give you credit for that. Would you rather, in a non-lethal and non-permanent damage situation, so one of these two things will happen to you and you will ultimately be fine, would you rather get shot or get stabbed? Tom, I'm going to come to you first because I always come to the guest first.
Sure, and I hope it's not weird that I can immediately answer this with I'd rather get
I don't think
shot.
that's at
I would
all.
rather
Which one?
get shot than stabbed.
Okay.
Because I feel like that way I don't have a chance to necessarily see who did it. And like it could be a sudden thing where a stabbing could have a buildup that frightens me. Yeah, I'm much less afraid of getting shot than I am of getting stabbed. I want to be clear to everyone watching this. I'm generally afraid of both of them.
one.
Yeah.
I would rather neither happen. But if I have to choose, I'm going with get shot.
But you're going to heal from it. Like the part of the question is that
Doesn't
there's no
matter.
permanent damage.
Stabbing freaks me out, and I think also just and it's weird. I was talking to someone. I was talking to a cop once about this, and I was mentioning once. I was like, "What are your anxieties about being shot?" And he immediately said, "Like, oh, I'm not afraid of that. Stabbed, oh, that terrifies me." And I think that might be playing into my bias. It's like someone who's been shot at is like, "Oh, I'd rather get shot than stabbed." I don't know. That's part of it too. So
Okay. Coming to me.
Cow from Boone,
Yeah,
North
Dustin,
Carolina.
what about you?
So this is probably more of a comment on our gun culture in this country, but I'm going to go with stabbed because I feel like a lot of people have been shot. So if you have a scar and you go, oh, that's from the time I got shot, people will be like, oh, that's, whatever. That happens to a lot of people. But if you got stabbed, it implies a certain degree of badassness that getting shot, I think, doesn't. Because it means, like, you got into some shit, like, close up and, like, really had to deal with it. So I'm going to go with stabbed because I feel like in terms of scars that I would be telling people about, they'd be, if I'm going to get that pain, I feel like it'd be more badass to be able to, to say, like, look at that kind of thing. Both would suck an awful lot. But
I like that we both have the exact same reason, but mine is like, I'm a coward. I don't want to get hurt. and yours is like, I wouldn't want to be stabbed up close. Whereas you're like, how badass to get stabbed up close.
Right. If it's going to suck either way, like that's the thing. It's going to be unpleasant either way. So I might as well, like, I'm thinking long term, like this will be, a thing that I could always point to. And since I'm not going to get like perma injured, I feel like it's worth it. What about you, Heather?
Yeah, this is tough because obviously both of these, like you've all said, both of these are going to suck. But I think I also am going to go with shot because everything I've heard about, like, both things are bad, but everything I hear about, like, knives and knife wounds is that they're, like, so incredibly dangerous, like, extra super dangerous and, like, painful. And, like, thinking about, like, a knife could really, like, hit different organs. And, like, so could a bullet, but you're assuming if it's, like, one shot, maybe the bullet won't hit everything versus, if someone stabs you, you could go through, like, 4 or 5 different things. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going with shot.
You're going with shot? Okay.
I'm going with shot. Yeah. I also feel like I read somewhere once, but this might be, like, myth. But didn't I hear or someone said, like someone in, maybe it might be fictional, said like to get stabbed is more disrespectful than shooting somebody because getting stabbed is worse. feel like that's
It's
a whole
more
thing
more
I heard
personal.
once.
It's definitely more personal because
Yeah.
you know you're looking at him. You
I
could
like the
somebody from far away.
I love the idea of being like, not only did you stab me, all right, the pain was bad. The disrespect.
But the
That's what I
disrespect
can't
just
stand.
stabbed me.
See, someone had the goddamn respect to shoot me
I
from a
said good
distance.
day.
I said good day.
How
Yeah,
rude.
exactly.
How rude of you.
Could you?
I'm not inviting you back. Ugh.
Yeah.
All right, I guess time to move on to question number 2 then, since we've all gotten an answer. Tom,
Right.
your question.
Yes. All right. So my would you rather be? Would you rather be the smartest person in the world or the best musician in the world? Dustin, let's go to you.
I'm going to go with best musician for the same sort of superficial reasons I choose everything here.
Oh my God, Dustin.
What? No,
No. Go ahead.
No, because like if you are the smartest person, you're probably like doing some like science crap or some math crap, and nobody's ever gonna know your name. But if you're the best musician, people have your album. You do shows. People will remember you like forever. So I feel like there's like one smart guy. We've all agreed that like Einstein's the guy that we're all gonna go like back to, and he got lucky. Like he was real smart, but like he also just happens to like Tesla could have also been that guy, and he's just not because we all picked Einstein. I don't want to run that risk of not being of being the Tesla to somebody's Einstein. So I'd rather be the person who is a musician that everybody knows and remembers and listens to their albums, stuff like that. In fact, there's so much more like forever love that you can get from that. That's I'm going to go that way because I am superficial and I like attention, hence hosting this show.
I like that. That's a good point, and I think an important point there about Einstein. Although I'll get to my theory about Einstein when I get to my answer on this question. Okay, Heather, your thoughts: smartest person or best musician?
I think best musician's more fun. I just think you'll have a better time because I think if you're the best musician, kind of to what Dustin's point was, not so much like that you get all the fame. I just think you're the best musician. That means you get to go around, you get to just delight people with how cool and fun it is. I think the smartest person is very useful, and it's like a good thing to have knowledge. I think knowledge is really important, but I don't know how much fun you'll have with it. Also because like the more you know, I don't know, sometimes the more you know, the worse it is because now you like can think about things and ponder them. Sometimes I'm like, would it be more fun to be not very smart? Like, I don't know. So I think
it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think you'd have fun as a musician. So I think I'm going with that.
All right. I went back and forth on this one because I had a thought of on the one hand, it's more than plausible to say that if I'm the smartest person, I could then be smart enough to learn every instrument and train myself to be a great musician. But still, best implies that you connect with the people, and that's beyond anyone's ability. Going back to Einstein, the thing about Einstein that's great is like, yeah, he's super smart, but he's also incredibly likable. Like he's got that picture where he's sticking his tongue out like Michael Jordan. It's awesome. And like that's immediately we like him more than like Tesla or anyone else because he just looks like a nicer person who we want to spend time with. I think it comes down to the best musician everyone likes. The smartest person nobody likes. So yeah, I'm going with best musician because I like friends. Landed on that. So that's but it took a while to get there, I will say. Because I did occur to me, I'm like, well, but best musician, is the best musician really celebrated? But I feel like music is like the one art form where as much as it's subjective, everyone's like, no, but that guy was actually legitimately great. Should all buy his albums and have it just in case it looks smart. So, yeah, I'm going with best musician.
Okay, cool. Do we want to answer Joy's question of saying, is the musician, if you're going with best musician, are they dumb? I don't think so. Joy wants
to know if you're the best musician, are you dumb? Yeah, I don't think so. I think it just means you're not the smartest. That's all. Right.
I feel like you're certainly not as smart as probably the least smartest person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the math there.
Don't worry, I'm staying with it.
Yeah, okay. Which brings us to our last question. And this question leans very heavily into the whole, like, you got to do this at a funeral kind of thing, which is, which is the basis for a lot of our would you rathers of trying to decide. But the question is, if you had to wear one of these things all the time, no matter what, no matter where you're going, no matter what's happening, would you rather wear bunny ears or a red clown nose everywhere all the time, and you can't explain to anybody why? It's just your thing. Tom, I'm going to go to you first. Which would you rather wear?
Well, I have a very boring reason for why I'm picking bunny ears. And that's that I have I have my entire life I've had asthma issues and I tend to congest easily. And so the red nose would just be uncomfortable. So for a sheer comfort version, I'm just going with bunny ears. Also, I feel like that would be nice to, like, if I'm ever trying to meet up with someone, I'm like, oh, just look for the bunny ears right there. And then they'd find me in a crowd. That'd be pretty nice. My best friend's 6'9", and it's really easy to spot him when you're trying to find him at like the train station. So similar to that, I think there's a lot of convenience to the bunny ears. You could hang things from them. I feel like I'm not just looking at this as a curse, but at the potential bonuses. And I feel like that's, there's an add-on effect of the bunny ears. So I'm going with that.
Yeah. Although your answer does, outside of the asthma thing, it does imply that wherever you go, there are a lot of people who are wearing red noses.
Well, but
so you couldn't use that.
Like, still, I'm thinking from way back. If I'm like, if I walk in, I'm like, oh, there's the ears, got them. All right, find them right there.
Right. You go to a concert and you could always find your friend because their bunny ears are poking out.
My keys hanging from that thing, all kinds of fun stuff.
Heather, what are your thoughts?
I started laughing so much because I chose bunny ears for almost the exact same reason Tom did, that I was like, I'm already constantly like blowing my nose and sneezing and irritated, and that would annoy me so much. Yeah. Like having
allergy season with that thing. My God.
So annoying. Also, I feel like I'd be able to see it. Like, like when you can see things in front of you, I would see it and it would annoy me. And I feel like bunny ears, I think I could make bunny ears fashion. I'm not saying it would be good fashion, but I still think I could make them fashion.
Okay.
I don't think there's any making red clown nose anything other than it's a red clown nose.
All right. Oh. I am torn. I was definitely in the clown nose category before you guys gave your explanations. Here's the reason for that, because I think it's safe. I think I'm probably the tallest of the people who are here. Tom, I don't know your height. What is your?
I'm 6 foot even.
Okay.
So, yeah.
As a person who is 6'3".
Oh well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to flex. That wasn't like a thing.
Excuse me.
The number of times, that I bang my head into stuff already. Like, my wife and I have a thing where I'm gonna, if I don't see like a tree, she'll just yell tree, and I know to like duck down. And I do that more often you would think. There are no rules about how low a thing can be in the city, so I'm constantly banging my head into trees and different things like that. So the thought of having the bunny ears, so like I'm just gonna constantly be banging into it, is gonna drive me freaking insane to constantly have those ears like poking at different things. But then you guys brought up I think the thing that really like got me was when Heather, when you brought up the like being able to see it in your peripheral vision the whole time, it would drive me insane to just always
nuts.
I would always just be wanting to swat at it. So I think the ears I would try and just maybe at some point like bend them down a little bit, so that I wasn't constantly hitting into things. It would still drive me insane, but I think the fact that I could like touch my nose,
you could make them whimsical.
Go for the Roger Rabbit look.
Yeah, there you go.
I hear you on the tall thing. I mentioned my best friend being 6'9" before. He was in town this weekend, and he had his 4-year-old son continually wanted to ride on his shoulders, and I was horrified every time we walked through trees. I was like, this kid's going to die.
This kid is going to, yeah.
But this kid at this point is also completely used to like swatting trees out of the way. Like, that's
wow.
So.
Someday that kid's going to be an adult, and they're going to be like, oh, you mean that wasn't the same for you? No?
You were at a normal height?
Yeah.
Which brings us, guys, to the that was our last one. That was our last Would You Rather. Tom,
That's
thank
right. I
you.
would rather like and subscribe. I want to do both.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
You don't have to
did
choose.
it.
So Tom, where can people find out more about what you got going on?
Folks can follow me on Instagram at Brennanatorgram and on Twitter at Brennanator. And the Electoral Dysfunction podcast coming back Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Big return. The saddest of the holiday of the themed military holidays to come back.
Time to do it. Yeah.
And then you can also see us or see us. Actually, yeah, my co-host Robert George will also be a part of Spot On Comedy at the Churchill Tavern over on, I believe, 28th and Park Avenue in New York City, June 5th, doing some stand-up. So come on out. It's going to be a great show. I don't know who else is on that show, but they're all great.
Cool. Cool. And Heather, what do you got coming up?
This Saturday, my musical improv group, Red Shirts, the group I'm part of, we are going to be performing on the main stage at Long Island TrekCon. It's a brand new convention. It is on Long Island. 5 p.m. on the main stage this Saturday. Should be good. Go to that link if you're interested in attending, because we are not the only thing that is part of Long Island TrekCon. As great as we are, that would be crazy. So please come check it out. There's going to be like Trek celebrities there and stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And for me, you can always follow me, or you can always follow us at. You got the wrong button. Crazy.
Yeah, follow Red Shirts Musical Improv. That's right.
Yeah. You can always follow us at Super Important Stuff on Instagram. You can follow me at DDATO on Instagram. And if you are in the General Astoria area on Sunday at 7 p.m., I'll be doing a storytelling show called New Tricks. I'll be telling the story. The theme is first prom. I did not go to my prom, so I will not be telling a story specifically about that. But I will be telling a story about a ridiculous dance that I went to where hilarity did in fact ensue. So, which about does it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Tom, for being a wonderful guest. We are off next week for the holiday, but we will be back the week after that. So we will see
Memorial
you guys
Memorial Day's in 2 weeks.
It's in 2 weeks? Oh, then we're not.
Yeah.
Then we're not off next week. Then we have to book again.
We're here next week. It's the week after. We have a guest.
Next Monday is the Feast of the Cows of Boone, North Carolina.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they are our guest.
Right. So ignore the graphic you're about to see about when our next show is, because it is factually inaccurate. So I'm glad we had this conversation.
I'm glad we did too. Yeah.
All right.
So we will see you back here next week.
So.
Have a good night, everybody.